Good afternoon, comrades, from the brutal, cruel and dystopian capitalist dictatorship of Kuala Lumpur. I hope you're having an amazing day, because if I'm having an amazing day, you should be having an amazing day. And if you're having an amazing day, I'm having an amazing day. Well, to be frank with you, I'm not really having an amazing day because of the unfortunate news I must share with you. Well, for those of you who know the true nature of the Pakatan Harapan government, this band of reactionary snakes, this nest of vipers, this hive of scum and villainy, it's not new news, it's just old news. But for those of you who still think Pakatan Harapan is a revolutionary party, wake up! I mean, we Malaysian socialists were under no illusion that Pakatan Harapan was going to be the party that would save Malaysia, considering we were well aware that Pakatan Harapan is a party of elite technocrats and not a party for the people, but rather, at best, a party that is a neoliberal, capitalist, bourgeois party that at worst would basically be Barisan Nasional 2.0, or at absolute best would basically turn Malaysia into another neoliberal post-colonial country like Singapore. So we socialists were under no delusions about Pakatan Harapan's revolutionary potential or lack thereof. But every day, the Pakatan Harapan government of Anwar Ibrahim makes itself more and more unlikable. First, by pardoning that crook Najib Razak, the mega crook who stole billions of ringgit from the people, and then to add insult to injury, to rub salt into the wounds of the poor and the downtrodden in this country, then sentencing a man who steals necessities in order to survive to a month in prison. Pakatan Harapan is becoming the very thing it swore to destroy. Or more specifically, it has always been the very thing it swore to eradicate. But now that Pakatan Harapan is in power, their bourgeois fangs get bad. And you realize that they're not actually a revolutionary party. But today, the icing on the cake has come when we see that American weapons manufacturer Lockheed Martin, which supplies the brutal Zionist regime of Israel with weapons, has also been invited to Malaysia in order to participate in our arms expo. So, the Pakatan Harapan government has come under fire for allowing several American weapons manufacturers, such as Lockheed Martin, which have also supplied the brutal, reactionary, fascist Zionist regime of Israel with weapons, to participate in our weapons expo in Kuala Lumpur. And, understandably, in order to preserve face and answer to the public, this is what our defense minister has to say in response. Responding to criticism, Defense Minister Khalid Nordin said that Malaysia, as a free trading nation, allows for all global players to market their products and services and does not interfere with any business dealings between companies and any country. The ties between several global defense manufacturers and certain nations are business dealing, and Malaysia will not get involved, Khalid said in a statement provided on his Facebook page early on Tuesday. This expo does not take sides with or give an advantage to any country or company. The DSA is organized by a Malaysian company. This year's edition is officially supported by the Defense and Interior Ministries as strategic partners. Really? Really now? Really? So Malaysia is apparently a neutral party now. You know, Malaysia doesn't take sides. Now you're pretending to be just like Singapore, right? You're pretending to be a spineless octopus like Singapore in saying that, oh, Malaysia doesn't take sides. We want to be friends with everybody. Really? Weren't you about to prosecute the sellers of those Swatch watches with LGBT flags on them? Yeah, weren't you about to prosecute the people who were going to sell Swatch watches with LGBT flags on them? Hey, you want to maintain neutrality when it concerns weapons manufacturing companies that supply weapons to Israel. Suddenly, you want to maintain neutrality when it comes to buying and selling weapons from Lockheed Martin. Well, here's the thing. Pro-Palestine activism in Malaysia is largely performative, I can tell you this. Not from the people, but from our politicians. Because fundamentally, Pakatan Harapan is a reactionary party. Fundamentally, Pakatan Harapan is in bed with the Western colonizers. Like any post-colonial mainstream political party in Malaysia or Singapore, Pakatan Harapan is no different. The only party that has taken a firm anti-imperialist stance, quite frankly, is the Socialist Party of Malaysia. But guess what? You cowards who are too afraid to vote for the Socialist Party of Malaysia and will still vote for Pakatan Harapan because you say, oh, you know, we're so afraid that, you know, if we don't vote for Pakatan Harapan, PN will take over. Pakatan Nasional, the equivalent of the Republicans in Malaysia, will take over and take away our rights. I don't see you trying to vote for the Socialists. I don't see you centrist or liberal cowards trying to vote for the Socialists or trying to promote the Socialist Party, the only party that has been consistently fighting for the people and standing up against imperial domination. No, because fundamentally, you don't have a problem with imperialism. Pakatan Harapan supporters fundamentally do not have a problem with Israel. Yeah, Pakatan Harapan supporters are largely the Malaysia Kini white-collar liberal type that will basically say they want systemic change for Malaysia, but when they say they want systemic change, they don't mean systemic change to make it a socialist, revolutionary country that actually stands up as an independent player in world affairs, like Thomas Sankara's Burkina Faso. They want systemic change in the same way as Singapore. What they want is basically Malaysia to turn into another Singapore, fundamentally. So that's why I say, with the Socialist Party of Malaysia in charge, change will be difficult. It will be difficult, no doubt, to convince the masses. But with Pakatan Harapan in charge, change will be impossible. Okay? So don't be fooled into thinking that Pakatan Harapan is going to save Malaysia. It is not. Pakatan Harapan fundamentally still wants to maintain good relations with the imperialist Western powers. These people have betrayed the trust of the Rakyat time and again by going against the interests of the Rakyat and pretending to be a revolutionary party, just like the liberals of America, pretending to be revolutionary. But they will not save you. At the end of the day, the salvation of Malaysia is only to be found in socialism. Because any party that does not push a firm socialist and anti-imperialist line is a reactionary party. Doesn't matter what they call themselves. Even if they call themselves the Party of Hope, they say they want to end race-based politics. They say, you know, they want to bring about systemic change in Malaysia. The one question I want to ask them is this: what is your stance on socialism? Are you going to stand in the way of the Rakyat when it comes to their emancipation from capital? And what relationship do you want to have with the United States and Great Britain, the brutal imperialist Western capitalist powers. Doesn't matter what you say about Israel. What relationship do you want to have with the brutal Western imperialist powers of the world? Do you want to have a good relationship with them, or do you want to cut the apron strings from them? The socialists are more than happy to cut the apron strings from the Western neoliberal imperialist capitalist powers of the world. You give us charge of this country, and we will cut the apron strings. Yes, as Thomas Sankara said, he who feeds you controls you. Every post-colonial leader that's not a socialist in Malaysia, from Tunku Abdul Rahman until Anwar Ibrahim, has been a puppet of the West. If you think Anwar is some kind of a martyr, I hate to tell you this, but Anwar's net ties are far too close for comfort. And Anwar Ibrahim himself is no martyr. You only see him as a martyr because he was framed by Mahathir for sodomy and he was thrown into prison. Unfortunately, that was an unfortunate and unjust event in his life. But the man is not going to save Malaysia, because the man is too in bed with the West, and he's merely performative. He's too in bed with the imperialist powers, and whatever sandiwara he puts on in support of Palestine is merely smoke and mirrors to distract from what's going on in this country. The people, barely able to scrape by, Malaysians living paycheck to paycheck, under brutal wage slavery, unable to have a civilized standard of living, many Malaysians. All this riling up for Palestine is merely smoke and mirrors. Because charity actually begins at home. If you are not trying to create socialism for your people, and if you're not trying to improve the standard of living of your own people, if you are not trying to lift your own people out of poverty, then who are you to speak on behalf of people from other countries? Malaysian leaders fundamentally are paper tigers. Any Malaysian leader who's not a socialist is a paper tiger. Because, sure, they can talk, they can cry to the high heavens about how much they support Palestine, but if they're still in bed with the imperialist, capitalist Western powers of the world, and they are still slaves to Western finance capital, well, I'm sorry to have to tell you, but they are basically closeted Zionists. They are closeted Zionists who only pretend to be anti-Zionist. But after 6 p.m., they and the Zionists are all friends. Pakatan's Harapan said they would scrap race-based politics if they got into power. Have they? Have they done that? Have they given Malaysians religious freedom so that people are not shackled to any particular religion? No, they haven't. Have they vastly improved the standard of living of Malaysians? No, they haven't. So, how are they any different from Barisan Nasional? Besides the fact that perhaps they have more minority representation. In fact, they assimilated the old guard into their own ranks, okay? At best, you can say that Pakatan Harapan have basically turned Barisan Nasional into a defanged and declawed tiger, like the bourgeoisie turned the feudalists into a defanged and declawed tiger during the French Revolution. But they have played their revolutionary role, if any. Now it is time for them to step aside, because socialism is the only way forward. But I hope this shines a light as to the nature of the middle class and upper class supporters of Pakatan Harapan. I'm not talking about its working class base, which I'm sure is far and few in number. I'm talking about the middle to upper class white collar Pakatan's Harapan supporter. The fact that they would, not only villainize the poor and treat the poor like garbage, and basically it is a party of elite technocrats, and basically, Pakatan Harapan is basically old wine in a new bottle. The fact is that the white-collar people who support Pakatan Harapan do not actually want systemic change. Sure, they might want a more meritocratic society, that is to say a society that's like Singapore. They want a more individualistic society like America, but they don't want to put an end to capitalism. They want to maintain the system and the status quo of the brutal capitalist world order because it suits them so well. So that is why I say Pakatan Harapan is not a party to be trusted. And the only party that can really bring about revolutionary change, that will actually cut the apron strings from Western capitalism, from capitalism and from foreign imperialist dominance, is the Socialist Party of Malaysia. That is the only party that you can trust, in my humble opinion. Thank you very much for listening, and have a wonderful day. And remember, Madani is all garbage.